You don't know how amazing you are. You might not see it in the mirror, but ooh, it's never been clearer.
Welcome to the Act Out Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Tomlin. Before we begin, I need you to like, to subscribe, leave a 5-star review. The best way to get this message across is to share. Share this with your friends, your family, and even that cousin that you only see on major holidays. I know it may feel weird. It's not Thanksgiving. We need them, and I need you to break the ice, please. Thanks. And my favorite thing in the world, constructive compliments. Please leave those in the form of a comment below. Any complaint that you have, please send that to Mamdani for Mayor. And remember, you spell Adam, Z-O-H-R-A-N. That may not work. He has no red in his beard whatsoever. Well, today's episode comes from practically New York City, Newark. And just like Newark is practically New York City, I am practically from Montclair, New Jersey. Today's guest, Phil Ramos, he can validate that for me. Phil and I talk about a lot of things. One of the first things we do is make a very strong, very detail-friendly approach to being your next travel agent. We also talk about machismo and the American dream. And in a moment of great self-development, I don't make any wrestling joke whatsoever. We also talk about what it was like growing up around cops. Phil talks about shadow boxing in the basement. I talk about the times that I got to be a hostage taker during SWAT simulations. Kind of apples and oranges, really. I'm glad Phil brought me in with the shadow boxing because later on that night, me and some of his buddies got to watch a fight. I don't really remember who won the boxing match. I do know that Phil and I won this conversation. You don't believe me? Roll the tape. Dude, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Of course.
Did you say this was your first time on a podcast?
First time in front of lights, in front of a microphone.
Oh, dude,
So beyond podcast.
You're a natural,
nothing
man.
else.
I was thinking about this. You and I, are you familiar with the term meet cute?
Meet cute?
Yeah, meet cute.
No.
So like in a romantic comedy, how like the main characters will meet each other for the first time.
Okay.
You want it to be something where it's kind of like fun and spontaneous. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm rooting for them. They're great.
All right.
You and I actually have a great meet cute.
Yeah, it is pretty spontaneous.
Yes. It was definitely spontaneous.
Right. For all of us, even for our couples. Right.
Yeah. Right. We were, I think Kayla and I were on a train going into New York City.
Right.
And
from Montclair.
Yeah, from Montclair.
Right.
Shout out Mounties. And I think you and Daniela were in the same car.
Yeah, in the same car, but coming from not Montclair, I don't think.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
Yeah, or maybe I forget where we were.
No, I'm pretty sure that we had gotten on like at Montclair
At the
and then
same time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
or no, not at the same time. Like
right.
We got on the train,
on
we're
it.
already on it.
Right. Okay.
I think so,
yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But yeah, like that, and I think whatever plans Kayla and I had, we're like, never mind.
Right.
And we ended up going to some kind of like cook,
it was,
a cook-off or
it wasn't Smorgasbord or the thing in Brooklyn at what park is it? It's not Williamsburg, but more in. But yeah, it's basically where they have the tents out and cooks, bars, and all of that outside. And we had planned to go there. You guys hadn't.
Yeah.
And we met up, and Danny and Kaylin hadn't seen each other for 5+ years, maybe
it was
longer.
a long time.
And it's just like, oh, you're going here? It's like, oh, come hang out with us. Why not? And we made a day out of it, which was a blast. We had a lot of good times. So.
To the point to where, like, now anytime I'm like in this area, I'm like, hey, we can hang out with them, right? Like,
of course, anytime. Yeah.
That first time that we had met, like, I knew we were going to hit it off because you were talking about like, hey, I'm going to come to Atlanta. Right. And the way that you were asking about spots, what I want to see, I don't want to go to like the Coca-Cola factory.
Can't stand touristy stuff.
Right.
It
like,
irks me.
Yes. I cannot. I don't want the tourist stuff. I want the stuff that the locals go to.
Yep.
And that is actually my exact same philosophy whenever it comes to traveling. And so I didn't even like put that in.
Did I say that like one of the first conversations, like when we yeah,
man. And that's something that is like has stuck with me. And now, like anytime I'm going like somewhere, I'm like, yeah, I don't want the touristy spot. Okay,
Right.
I want where the locals go.
I knew I was gonna like you much. No, I'm joking. It was a little later when we were like a few deep at like 1 a.m. and I played Big L and you versed every single word. I was like, all right, this guy's in 100%. I wasn't expecting a guy with a southern accent from Atlanta to know every single word of Big L Flamboyant, but we had a good time to say the least.
What is it about traveling that you like so much? And how does like the non-touristy spots play into that?
I think it has a lot to do with being from New York and just walking in Times Square and just knowing like this is the fakest part of New York. And I get it, you know, tourists have to see the city and that's a popular spot. There's a lot of history, this, that, and the other. But just being there, I'm like, I don't want to go. When I go to France and Paris, I don't want to go to the Times Square of Paris. Like it's just it just has a bad connotation in my head. So, and culturally,
it's like leans, I think.
Yeah, that is true. And culturally, it's like you're not going to see the true New York in Times Square. You're going to see it in the boroughs, maybe Lower East Side, but even that is very touristy. So when I go somewhere, I try to search out where the real people from that city stay. And again, Danny and I have traveled a decent amount now together as well. And every time we do it, we have the most real experiences, and the stuff that we talk about after is always from that little hole in the wall down a dark alley that you will never search on your phone and spontaneously walk in.
Where's the coolest city that you've been to?
Oh man, I would say my favorite personally is Marrakesh in Morocco.
Okay.
That was one of our bigger trips, you know, before the baby and all of that. So it was first time in Africa, first time in a Muslim country. It was a very eye-opening experience. So
my like favorite part of traveling is like, I love new experiences,
right,
especially like experiencing a new culture and like just seeing like how things are absolutely like, wow, on the surface, like there's not a whole lot of like commonality. I don't do this or this or this. But then whenever you like you spend some time there and you get to know them, you realize like, oh, wow, no, there's actually a whole lot that we have in common. We 100%, just do things a lot different, you know?
Yeah. And those differences are sometimes the best thing, because then you come here and you could talk about it. It's like, oh, this is how they do it there. And it's just another way of looking at how you go through your regular American life in a sense, right? Those are good things to pick up on sometimes.
Absolutely. And I think that, sorry, man, my mind just went completely blank there.
This is that you have the harder job than I do. I could do this all day. I feel like.
Well, yeah,
it's like I the questions is definitely the hardest part.
Well, yeah, and sometimes in a witty rejoinder is just as difficult. So we may be screwed if I keep drinking too much of the spritzer. You were kind of saying like you're not going to get the real New York if you go to like Times Square, or you have to go into the boroughs.
Right.
What do you think is like the essence of New York? Oof. And like where is one spot where like someone
the true New York vibe? Yeah, it's a tough question.
That's all I have. Baby.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I'm originally from the Bronx, so I'm going to be biased. And Danny always jokes around, like, and you'll if you meet anybody else from the Bronx, it's usually like they scream it loud and proud. It's like a very common way of going about things. But I would say every borough is different. My favorite thing about New York is the fact that it's a melting pot. You go near JFK, you can get the best Chinese food in the world, you can get the best African food in the world, you can get the best Spanish food in the world. So like just going to those areas where it's so diverse, you're just automatically going to get a good New York vibe no matter what. I always tell people that are visiting, go to a Yankee game and walk around Arthur Avenue or like those older school spots that have been around a long time that are very like popular but still authentic. And those areas have changed year over year. But if you go to any of the boroughs, you're going to get an authentic vibe. In New York City, just walk around the city for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Go to the different neighborhoods. That's the best part. You go to one neighborhood, it's bougie. Spend $300 on a meal for yourself. Or you could go to Lower East Side. You could go to Chinatown, and it's going to be completely different. You got people from all over the world. You have people from Europe, from California, and from New York, and that's the best part about it.
I
love it.
will 100% concur on that and validate what you just said, because yesterday Kaylin and I were like walking around in the city,
Right.
and I can't remember like what like corner I was on about to cross, but like I just happened to look around, and I saw so many different types of people, and you could just tell that like they were from like all over the place,
Right.
but at the same time they were all like right there in that one spot.
Right.
And there's just, it's almost like this sense of like interconnectedness that you feel like whenever I guess at New York at its best, there's sort of like
100%.
there is an interconnected energy that is like it's very palpable.
Yeah.
Sometimes for the introvert in me, it gets to be a little too much.
Well, for you, you can just sit at a park and just people watch all day, and you'll get the New York vibe that way as well. You may see a bum and then someone that has millions of dollars walking right behind it. So
yeah, it's truly a melting pot.
Yeah.
So you said that you grew up in the Bronx.
I grew up in the Bronx.
All right. So I
moved to New Jersey when I was a freshman in high school.
Oh, okay.
So not my whole my whole life.
But I mean, growing up, like your formative years, you
100%.
spent in the Bronx.
Yep.
So my formative years were spent in Cartersville, Georgia, that raging metropolis.
Very similar places.
Yeah. Well, actually, though, like as different as it is, you and I actually have a lot in common about growing up. I think your dad was a police officer, right?
Corrections.
Oh, correct.
Rikers Island. Yep, in New York.
Riker.
Yeah.
You've told me that before. And every time
25 years.
Yeah. Dude, that's insane.
Sweetest guy you'll ever meet. That's the crazy part.
That doesn't like jive with me from everything that I've heard about Rikers. It's so weird to be like, yeah, he's the sweetest guy ever. Yeah. Is Rikers really as bad as it's made out to be?
I couldn't
never
tell you.
spent time yet, thankfully.
From the stories I've heard, I think it's a lot different now. So when he was there, it was, during my formative years, early 90s, early 2000s, all the way through. So from what I've heard, it was very bad during that time.
Oh, yeah.
Rikers is a holding, so I believe folks don't stay there longer than 2 or 3 years, but it's the holding for the city. So you have all sorts of mental illness folks that probably should be somewhere else and not in prison. And then you have the worst of the worst there as well, right? And then probably some people that shouldn't ever be there, and they're accidentally. So it's a combination of things. He's definitely seen a lot, right? So it's definitely not a place you want to be, but it's very different than like a state prison where is maximum security. So it's not the same as that. But
I understand what you're saying.
Your dad was a cop.
Yeah. My dad was a police officer for the city of Cartersville.
And remind me, that's how far? That's outside Atlanta.
Yeah. So Cartersville is like 45 minutes northwest of Atlanta.
Northwest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whenever I lived there, I was like the population hovered around like maybe 15,000 or something.
Got it. Okay.
I think now like it's a little bigger, but whenever I was there, it was super small town. Like I grew up in a mobile home park that was like right next to a cemetery, Indian mounds, burial ground. And then there was like
crazy.
just huge like farmland everywhere.
Right,
that was my experience growing up.
Right.
And so like yours is a little different.
More densely populated.
Yeah, more densely populated. A lot more things to do as well, though,
They didn't let me out as much. Yeah.
What was it like growing up in the Bronx?
I loved it because we grew up in, the Bronx is a very large borough as well. So you have a little bit of everything. I like to say I grew up like very middle class to low middle class. So we were always in the better
I like
neighborhoods.
to say that I came from Old Poor. So.
Yeah, Old Poor. That's probably right around there. So we grew up in New York terms. You always say, we grew up in the Italian neighborhood or the Irish neighborhood because those are typically in the Bronx at that time are a little nicer, safer, etc. So I grew up in an area right by Pelham Bay Park, which is bigger than Central Park, and not a lot of people know that.
That sounded like a flex.
But it's and not many people ever know where it is. But it's on the far east side of the Bronx, and then we moved to Morris Park, which is a very old school Italian neighborhood towards before we moved to New Jersey. But it was nice growing up there. Playing wiffle ball in the street, like like any little kid going. I went to a private Catholic school, so I enjoyed school. I felt safe at school. Everything was good. It was a good childhood overall. And I think to this day, that's why I love the city so much. I can never see myself, and I do love the outdoors, but moving hours and hours away in the wood, I would go crazy. So I feel like that's always stuck with me. And all my family was around there.
Okay.
My parents were originally from there. So it was a very like neighborhood vibe. A lot of the kids I went to school with, so I don't talk to them anymore, but I can tell you everything about them because we had, a good childhood, good experiences overall.
So you were close to a whole lot of family growing up.
Yeah. So my mom's side of the family, again, everybody grew up in the Bronx, all the sisters, cousins, and everybody. My mom's side of the family, my aunt lives up in Westchester. So she was kind of in the burbs. So we would go up there a little bit. But everybody else, grandparents, everyone on my dad's side was in the Bronx. And to this day, my cousin lives down the block where I went to elementary school to this day. And then my dad's sister is still there. So a lot of folks are still there. I love going back.
Oh, man, that's really cool that and a lot of the family is still there. And
yeah. Not everybody, but there's still a few people. Yeah, for sure.
You have Puerto Rican heritage?
Correct.
Is that right?
Yep. We call it New Yorican because I don't speak Spanish and Danny will kill me. She wants to kill me all the time. But yeah, Puerto Rican, everybody in the family.
Who was the last person to speak Spanish in your family?
Probably my parents. They still speak Spanish.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Yeah.
And
they're fluent. I don't speak it.
Were
your
I understand grandparents from Puerto Rico?
Yeah. So my, on both sides, all my grandparents were born on the island. My aunt was actually born on the island as well. She's the oldest on my mom's side, and then everybody else was born in New York.
Do you know why did they want to come?
I think financially. I think it was just back then, better life. A lot of my grandparents' siblings, so my granduncles and aunts. It's always like one person would come over and then tell them how well they're doing, and then everybody comes over, and that's why there's those communities to this day that they build over one person making the move, and then everything else happens. I think it was a lot similar to that case and why they came over.
The courage and the vulnerability that it would take
to make that move,
to make that kind of move, is so freaking that is so powerful to me. To feel confident enough in yourself, to be like, you know what, I think I can make it there. I may not know the language, I may not know where things are.
It's ballsy. It's very ballsy.
But I think I can do it. There is something,
especially
about
a comfort level, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Getting
exactly.
Comfort, but
to be able to to be willing to get out of your comfort level, and be like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make my life like that. I feel like people will, you get to that position when you look at your life and you're like, well, I want more. Puerto Rico is a beautiful place. There's a lot of people that stayed for that reason. Yeah. Right. They love the country life, or they love the beach, and they love the comfort, the comfortability of it. But if you want more, typically, even for young Puerto Ricans today, again, my family could probably talk a lot better than I can on that stuff. But I think coming over here, they see the better life. Yeah. They see the financial opportunities. We were a while back doing some kind of genealogy, ancestry stuff. And I had found
Scotch Irish.
Yeah, my DNA test actually came back as just a blank sheet of paper. I thought it was a dick move, but turned out to be just highly accurate.
No lines.
Yeah, exactly. Irish and English mainly, but nice. I think he's my 6th great grandfather. Okay. Came from Ireland in 1783. Wow. Right around the year, so the American Revolution was just ending up. And he ended up doing really well, and I actually was part of the founding of the city of Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay, wow.
Patton Avenue downtown is actually named after him.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
We lost the money a long time ago. Don't get excited.
He spent it all.
Yeah. Right. But he had because he felt that he was important enough to where he wrote maybe a 20-page biography.
Okay.
And what he had said was 1783, and rent is too high, and the landlord is basically starting to get a little pesky about it. Right. And there are absolutely no opportunities here, so I'm going to go to America. during a time when, you know, a lot of folks were making that choice,
Right.
but you realize how bad things had to have been for him, where he was like, you know what, I'm going to leave this place that's not very war torn right now and go to that place that's been ravaged by war for the past 7 years.
Right.
Like that is something that like,
Risk.
yeah,
To
that,
say
that,
the least.
that risk. And
Right.
like, it's really cool
Right.
to think about, you know, it's kind of, you know, kind of inspiring, help, you know, like make me feel like, hey, maybe I could do this.
Right. Right.
Um,
Well, I was going to say, have you felt like, would you move to another country? You guys are kind of doing it in a small sense, right? Leaving
yeah.
where you grew up, but a
Yeah.
lot of people do that in the States, right?
Mhm.
But I don't know if I could be like, all right, let's move to Germany, or, you know, that would be I think it would be great to
Yeah.
like open your mind and, you know, kind of turn into a slightly different person in a sense, but that's a tough move that a lot of people do, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Expats all over the world, but
You know, it's kind of funny. It's an expat if it's an American moving to another country, but if it's another person moving to America, they're an immigrant.
Right.
You know, like I don't know. I don't think I could be like
Right.
brave enough to immigrate to a country that didn't
You don't
speak
know.
English.
Right.
You know, or like where I felt like I maybe had like a lot of like, you know, setbacks or something.
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's going to be like really difficult to be able to succeed here. I don't know if I have that like in me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, but I don't think anyone really knows if they do or not until
Right.
they're
Until
actually
you
like
put in a
that
position that
situation.
either that you need to do it or you want to.
Yeah, you're
Right.
right. Exactly. I mean,
Right.
you know, you don't know what you would do if you were like in that
Exactly.
situation. But
Yeah.
no, I do not like rational mind me right now. No, I
Right.
could not do that.
Right.
And so the people who can, I have a tremendous amount of
Yeah.
respect for.
Agreed.
What did your grandparents do whenever they whenever
That's
they
a great
immigrated?
question on my grandmother, I think they were working factories
Mm.
back then. I think my grandmother, you know, she didn't drive. She was like on my mom's mom. She was on third grade education. Like they come from the countryside of the hills in Puerto Rico, like walk around with a machete and
Oh, wow, okay.
type of stuff. So I think when she came over, she worked in a factory. My grandfather, who I was very close to, he had all sorts of jobs.
Mhm.
He would, you know, he actually, a majority of his life, I think he worked for a famous Jewish restaurant in downtown Manhattan, where he was like managing a wait staff at one point, or he moved up in the wait staff, and he did
Mhm.
that for a long time. And as he got older, he would valet cars, pump gas. He would do anything to make ends meet. But my grandmother, when I was growing up, she didn't work. She was kind of at home, and he was bringing home the bacon, doing God knows how many jobs. And then on my dad's side, I think, you know, I think it was similar. They all
Yeah.
started in factories until they were older, and then started getting Social Security or whatnot,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
it is.
It's so unreal to me. Like,
Different world then.
yeah, absolutely a different world. But like to have the frame of mind where you're like, well, you know what? I'm not making. I'm going to valet cars. I'm going to pump gas.
Where
There's a lot of times there can be like an ego thing involved where you're
Right,
like, I am above
Oh, yeah.
doing X
None
or
of that.
Y. But to be able to be like, you know what? My family and their comfort
Mhm.
means more than my ego wanting to have a CEO position.
right.
You know, that kind of mindset. I'm sorry. I'm going on and on
No,
about
yeah.
your grandparents, but I mean,
Right.
like, I think it's really cool that, like, you know, that they were able
Right.
to-
Again, for them, it's like they're coming over here. They don't have the education. You know, they didn't
Yeah.
go to college. They didn't finish high school. So they're coming over here trying to make money and survive.
Mhm.
That's what it comes down to. And it's not just my grandparents. It was a lot of people during that time. And I always am very grateful because even for my dad,
Yeah.
you know, he loved history, and he went to college, dropped out, I think after a year or two. And then, you know, a lot of those folks go into the police department. My uncles, all of them are cops or correction officers, and they go into that because it's a way to make money guaranteed. So they don't have to worry, get a pension
Yeah.
right after 25 years. So for all of them, it was just a way to support. And then it's come down generationally, where I was the first to graduate from a 4-year college, But that's all because of all the work
Yeah.
that they did. So
That ripple.
exactly.
I'm gonna valet cars. I'm gonna pump gas.
Right.
But my son's gonna be in a position to where whenever he gets a job,
It's steady.
it's steady.
Right.
He's gonna be able to have a pension.
Yeah.
And then whenever my grandson comes along,
100%.
he's gonna be on a.
And I don't know
bomb-ass
if they were thinking that way, but you know, it's kind of how
podcast.
that's why
the goal.
that's why
the
you
goal.
leave where you were
Yeah.
before, right? That's the whole. I think that's the whole thought. I don't think thought they were going to come here and get rich. Maybe,
Yeah.
but still better than before. So
What do you think the American dream is?
that's different nowadays, right?
Is it? What was it before? And what is it?
You know, I
Sorry, you.
No,
you
no,
asked me-
no, it's another great question. I think the concept, and I've gone back and forth. You know, I've gone after college. I was like, oh, take a year off. You know, you go through all of those different emotions when you're free spirited.
Yeah.
Kind of university student. You're meeting different people. You appreciate different things. You're like, oh, I'll go to Thailand for 2 years and I'll work when I get back. Right. That's like the
Mhm.
first world problem type of
Yeah.
approach. But I've come to the realization that like the whole concept or structure of, you know, have a kid if you can, God willing, and, you know, get a house, build a family, enjoy your work, and, you know, enjoy your partner. I really do think
Mhm.
there's a reason people want that. And I think that is the American dream. And I've always thought, oh, maybe that's all bullshit.
Mhm.
Maybe, you know, there's a lot of steel manning you can do to it.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, it's pretty freaking nice. It's pretty freaking nice to have that opportunity to do it.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people, you know, everybody's in, you know, you have college debt. Oh, can I afford a house? There's a lot of factors nowadays, but it's a good goal to have, but you have to make sure you stay happy while you do it. If you're doing it and then you get there and like, again, people want to make so much money in the world. If you overbuy on a $2 million house and then you're in that house and then it's like, I'm not that happy.
Yeah.
Right. So there's over the top
Mhm.
you can do with it as well. But the whole concept of it and the basic structure of it, I think is pretty spot on. And I think it's something good to strive for. I think that's what the American dream is.
I think that is extremely interesting. So before, especially whenever I was in school, my idea of the American dream was that if you had a goal, or you know, like I want to be president of the United States, or I want to be CEO, it was something. It had a lot more to do with economics,
Right.
and so
That's where you could kind of go wrong.
yes,
Right.
yeah, I'm going to show my evolution to get to how to
Right,
how
sorry.
refined your position is.
Right.
Thanks for the spoiler, you dick.
Apologies.
But you know, it was very, very much like economically motivated. And I thought,
Right.
if you have a dream, you believe in yourself, and you work hard enough, you should be able to have a shot at being able to, you know, achieve anything that you want.
Right.
And that was in my head originally what the American dream was.
Right.
If that is what is considered the American dream today, I don't think that it is very possible, or, you know, it is not likely for people to be able to do that now.
Right.
But if you were to kind of like go back and like kind of and talk about it the way that you did, you didn't really talk a whole lot about the financial aspect of it.
Right.
It was much more about like internal security.
Yep.
And, you know, I think that looking at the American dream through that lens, instead of economic security so much as like internal security,
Right. That's a good way to put it, actually. Yeah.
I think that that's a much more attainable
Right.
thing. And I think it's also a more healthy
Right.
mindset to have as well.
Yeah, because it's, you know, you're always going to be disappointed, especially in a capitalist society. If, you know, you can always have more.
Mhm.
There's
Yeah.
never going to be a point where you can't have more. But when do you sit down and actually like smell the coffee and be like, oh, I'm kind of in a good freaking spot.
Mm-hmm.
But that's perspective, though. If you don't have that perspective, you're always chasing the dog. You're going to look around and be like,
I
not
used
really
to
happy.
think, I used to think like if I could just graduate from law school, then I would feel like I've made it.
Right.
I graduated from law school. I don't know. Oh, well, maybe whenever
Congratulations. It's not easy.
I was fishing for it the whole time, man. But
I couldn't do it.
after the law school thing, I felt absolutely nothing. Or maybe when I become a lawyer, I pass the bar and I still feel absolutely nothing.
Right.
And I ultimately realized that there is absolutely nothing external that I can accomplish or become or do that is going to make me feel good about myself, like long term.
Right.
There would be like an initial endorphin hit, but next day there would be, feelings of worthlessness and all that.
Right.
But now I'd say that one of the biggest things for me is kind of having the mind shift away from that, like, economic at all costs to more of the like internal security, copyright pending. But that I think has been so much better because I appreciate the things that I have way more than I ever did whenever it was just constantly like, I've got to be able to get the next thing. I got to have the next thing.
Right.
That mindset was not healthy for me at all.
Yeah. No. And there's a lot of people that are kind of, I feel like, stuck in that way a lot of times. So.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's, it's human nature at a point, right? You're always going to compare yourself to other people.
Kind of like a keeping up with the Joneses situation.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably what a lot has to do with it.
You're right. We'll go a little bit deeper. I think it has a lot to do with insecurity.
That as well.
Like if you came in, you're wearing a very nice watch. My watch is a little nicer,
This is the cheap Rolex. It looks like a Rolex, but it doesn't cost the same.
I had no idea. But I
got him.
I think before, like had you come in wearing that watch, I would have felt so ridiculous wearing this, like
you could pull that off. I don't think I could.
I would probably have taken it off.
You're saying in the past, that's
I wouldn't have been comfortable. I'd be like, no, like Phil is like all decked out and he looks like really cool, and like I look like an idiot,
Yeah.
But it took a whole lot of therapy and a whole lot of like brain rewiring to be able to like get to a spot where like, oh yeah, Phil's got a cool watch, but like I've got a cool one.
Do you feel like you kind of thought that way as a younger kid as well? And it kind of, I would think coming where you're from, you would have maybe more perspective of, because that's kind of how I look at it. It's like I've seen both sides of the coin, right? I've basically, I see my parents struggle check to check.
Yeah.
And then I probably struggle check to check many of times, and then more comfort now, but not where I want to be. But I have that perspective of not tying happiness to being the next, keeping up with the Joneses type of thing. Do you feel like you never thought that way and it was just kind of ingrained as a younger kid in a sense?
So whenever you don't have something, you are obsessed with obtaining it.
Right.
So growing up, I internalized this. Like no one ever explicitly said this. It was just what I picked up from like, pop culture and things like that. But I thought that because I lived in a mobile home that like I didn't have a whole lot of like social standing.
Right.
And I was very insecure about that. I was insecure about not having a lot of money. And so in my mind, I didn't want to feel lesser than. And so I thought that the way to do that, the way to like feel better about myself would be to be in a position where I could buy anything or, whatever.
Right. So it was a combination of insecurity and forcing your drive in a sense.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting that that combination took me fairly far, and was able to, like live the dream that I thought I wanted. Only for me to realize that like that dream was there was absolutely nothing there.
Right.
I feel like I'm blabbering on a lot.
No. I'm asking questions too. I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to be.
Oh yeah, no, I much prefer
conversation.
Yeah, exactly. I much prefer a conversation. You and I, like the way we chop it up anyway. There's usually a whole lot of back and forth. So yeah, man,
we're gonna be doing it tonight as well.
Oh yeah, man, that's right. I watched a fair amount of boxing as a kid. I actually watched the when Mike Tyson bit off Evander Holyfield's ear.
I was watching that.
So like y'all would watch a lot of like the pay-per-view fights growing up?
Being Puerto Rican, it's like it's kind of ingrained.
Okay.
At an early age. So we would do. My dad would do it sometimes, but if there was ever a big fight, and this is going back to like pay-per-view. So this is like a big fight, and this is when boxing was much more popular in the public. But there's one big fight every year, maybe every 6 months, more so every year. So my godfather he's a NYPD detective, would invite God knows how many police officers to his house, and they would go into the basement. You remember, and I'm probably aging myself, but the massive TVs, so like 70 plus inches, but had the back that was bigger.
70 plus inches.
So it would be like just the TV in the basement, and then couches and all the guys, and I would be one of the youngest there, so I would just be sitting on the floor. And, God knows how many bottles of Jack Daniels are going around, and it would just be the most entertaining thing you would ever witness.
I'm sure.
Like, these guys are getting up, they're shadow boxing the TV, and I'm like, what is going on here? Yeah. So you're watching the people you're watching with and the fight at the same time, and just a passion of just loving the fight game. It's definitely not the same like watching it today, but it's still something I'm so interested in, and I continue to try to watch as many big fights as possible.
What was it like seeing those guys that, are normally very buttoned up?
I was definitely not buttoned up.
Well, at work.
At work, I would hope so.
Yeah. But what was it like to work police officers where you're like, hey, something's going on. I should go to a cop for help. What was it like though? Whenever you're there,
I feel like I grew up in it, so I kind of knew it.
Yeah.
But for an outsider, I never forget there was a family friend that brought over his son, and they're all hanging out, and he tried to change the music on the iPhone, and they told him in their own way, don't touch the iPhone.
Yeah.
And he came back to his mom. He's a young kid. He was like 12, and he came back. He goes, "Mommy, those people are police officers?" He was so shocked. So you could only imagine they're a little different outside the environment, but I grew up in it, so it's the only thing I know. And I still, to this day, going to my uncles and like hanging out with those guys, it's like I'm a little kid because I'm so different from them now, right? I'm the one that was not in it. Now they're retired, they're old fogies, like they're just entertainment.
That was always like weird for me. So my dad was on the SWAT team.
Yeah, which is good.
And since I was being in Cartersville, such a small town,
right?
They didn't have like people that would be able to play like hostages or a hostage taker, like during SWAT simulations. Yeah, for practice.
They had their own SWAT team in the town.
Yeah. It was the city police department.
Okay, got it.
But yeah, so they would have me, like 6 or 7. I would be, I would either be a hostage or a hostage taker.
I'm sorry, that's some southern
very
rules.
southern. Yes.
I don't know if that would fly here.
I don't think it should. To be honest with you, no, it was. And looking back on it, it was not like probably the most healthy way of looking at the way men express emotions.
Right.
I guess like it was all very like macho and like like the deep voice. And very intimidating because, if I'm a hostage taker, they're not going to be very polite to me as, they're telling me to like put the like weapon down or something, And so like, I think it like seeing how like rough and tough it was like, it was a little like off-putting for me.
Yeah.
I think seeing that was what I thought that like how guys were supposed to act.
Yeah.
Is that something?
So it's a valid point because I meeting so many different types of cops because that's kind of how I put it. I think there's a lot of different types of cops, and I'm not a cop, but just being around them so much, I feel like I was actually pretty lucky because the crew and my dad and my uncle are great examples. Like you would never in a million years. Like they're the opposite of rough and tough and just their demeanor is just, they can be, trust me, I've seen it. They can be, but they're not like that regularly. Like my uncle is like, he's like Cheech Chong. He's like playing darts and like so chill, like beyond chill. He's a Boy Scout. Like he likes his guns.
Yeah.
He likes the woods. They actually don't like that flamboyant macho-ness. They think that's probably an insecurity, and they call it out right in the media, and it's squared quickly. Like they do not like the asshole. My dad is very similar, and there's been many situations, but he's they have a good way of seeing it before it happens, and they won't talk to you. They won't be your friend. They actually steer away from that over machismo, like that toxic kind of energy that I'm sure half of the police force has at the end of the day. I think that crew, when I was growing up, luckily I was seeing cops that weren't like that. Yeah.
So what does masculinity mean to you?
I don't really think about it.
As soon as I asked that question, I was a little nervous that you would ask me as well, because my answer would have been the exact same thing as yours.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
Yeah.
I mean,
like if I had to say anything, like it would be, if there's a situation that my daughter and I'm there, or my wife and someone I cared about, and they couldn't handle the situation, I feel like I have to be the one, not a protector in any sense of the word. I have 2 sisters. It's the same thing. Call me, let me handle it. Like that's just, I will step up, because
if you need
if
me,
I need it, I'm there. Right. But I'm not gonna, over position myself and be like, oh no, I got this. It's not, that's not my approach.
I like that a lot.
But that's, if I had to describe it, that's the way I would describe it.
Yeah.
Is like being that person available to help if need be. Right.
Yeah. That's incredible. I really like that. And you know what? I'm going to steal that, because because there's a lot there, because I have noticed that a lot of times whenever people are describing like what's a real man, or like what's masculinity, invariably the qualities that they like say, like, oh well, he's going to do this or whatever, those qualities fit with just as many like women that I know,
of course,
as a man. The only thing that would be like, oh no, it's clearly talking about a man, is saying he. That's it.
Right.
Because like all these characteristics of being strong and like everything that you think of in a traditional like masculine sense, women have it tenfold. Like 100%. Only thing they're missing is testosterone, really.
Yeah.
And so I really like that you were like, I don't think about it.
Yeah, I really don't. Yeah.
Why do you think there's such an obsession with like a certain subset where people are like, they feel a need to define masculinity?
I'm probably so unplugged. Like, I don't even know who that subset would be. Like, why? I don't know. I type maybe it may be insecurity, right? It's just like they see, they have this picture in their mind of, oh, I got to be like Joe Rogan, or I have to be like Canelo Alvarez. You see athletes, you see all of these, I think, social media and working out and all of that. I feel like that has a lot to do with it. Coming from like a younger guy, I could see how it could be difficult.
Yeah.
Because, we're not that much older. So I can see, navigating being a guy is not the easiest thing in high school and college and all of that. It's very easy to be overcompensating in those situations. Yes. I was, again, lucky enough and grateful that I got to see, okay, this guy's overcompensating. I could see it from a mile away. Like, I would try to ever have a conversation where it's like, I've just never been that type of person, but I could see why people would try to do it. But I don't know why it's clearly become an obsession, but I think it's a lot deeper. Yeah. Right. There's a lot of shows about it now, like the younger generation just not knowing how to handle it and then going way over the top of like being a guy. And it's just like, all these, what I call assholes, like the Andrew Tates of the world and all that. Again, I'm not plugged in enough to be talking about it knowledgeably, but I would say he's an asshole. I could tell you he's an asshole. Like, it's just common. It's just clear as day. It's about money. It's about an act. Like, if a young guy can't see that, I kind of put it on the parents at the end of the day. Like, you want to kind of instill a radar on and values on which way you want to go. And if you don't, it's very easy to be sucked into any situation. And then you start thinking that way. Yeah. So I think it's an education thing too. I think it's, these younger guys can easily be swayed into thinking one way or not.
You touched on, I mean, a lot of things there. One of them, unfortunately, is just the last one you said may not have been the most, may not have been the most powerful one, but we're talking about how easy it is to get like caught in it.
Yeah.
What gets me is like, you know, let's say that you and I are, 14 years old or something. We're, we're in class and, I've got a crush on, Kaylin.
Right.
And I look at her and she could be like in the middle of like thinking about a bad day that she had or something, just like have a weird face on.
Right.
And then I think that she's like looking at me like that.
Right.
And like I get mad. I can go on like, TikTok and watch a video about, like something like an Andrew Tate.
Right.
And then that will
easy.
create an algorithm spiral 100%. To where all of a sudden now I have been, completely sucked in.
Right.
That is
scary.
Extremely
it sucks
scary.
too. Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is. I don't think there's just one answer though.
Yeah. Yeah. You kind of get tied into like, then you go into like the education of it. Mm-hmm. And then that could, then you're trying to sway one way or the other. And that's not the right approach either. Right. Because there's two sides of every argument or idea. So yeah, it's, I think communication is key. And I think a lot of these kids just don't know how to freaking communicate at the end of the day.
That is true. And I mean, not just kids. I'm
saying kids. I talk to maybe 114. I don't even talk to any kids. My daughter's one, so I'm not talking to her. But from what I know, my youngest sister is 28. She's not a kid either. So it's like from what I see, I'm going off of saying kids. But yeah,
no. I think that communication is an art that is not taught to anyone. And so I mean, I don't,
and not purposely. It's just the nature of
you can't teach something that you don't know yourself.
Right.
And so if you haven't been taught it, you can't then like pass it on. So I think that like there is a communication problem that goes back like a whole bunch of generations.
100%.
Actually, all of these problems go back of a whole bunch of generations. So let's just try to solve this real quick. It may take like 5 or 10 minutes.
It's not an easy problem.
Yeah. Communication is definitely going to be like something. And what about like to be able to like internal security? I think internal security is like to where what you and I were talking about, where you're not worried about keeping up with the Joneses or like, oh, so-and-so is benching 300. I have to bench 305 or whatever,
Right.
How do you think that we can advocate for, for people to, like try to be more secure internally as opposed to the online world of, keeping up with the Joneses?
It's a tough question. I think I'm just thinking of like if you're in that position, I'm not even thinking kids. You're a finance guy, you're making a lot of money. You're, overly aggressive at a bar and you continue to do that. Why do you continue to do that? There has to be some sort of feedback loop that is happening. Are you getting rewarded for that? Right. And I think it really comes down to, it's a people problem.
I don't think you're getting rewarded. You're probably getting triggered. There's something that, the thing that you just said, the finance guy that goes into a bar and gets aggressive.
Right.
Obviously we're just kind of making things up, but like, it's a guy that,
he's clearly insecure.
Exactly. Right. Has clear insecurities where he's like going to a bar and not like just going to have a couple of drinks with friends, but going to get to the point to where he's going to want to start fights.
Right.
I would say that there's obviously alcohol use disorder there, but it would be something maybe that happened before where whatever is like triggering him to fight is probably just a manifestation of a whole bunch of things that happened at work that he didn't let out.
Right. But then it comes back into that, you're saying that inner peace or inner health. It's like
inner security.
Like
copyright pending.
Yeah. I was trying to change it, see if you like that, if you picked up on any of the other ones. Like how do you teach that? I don't know. I don't even know where to start with something like that. It's you could do a lot of mushrooms probably. That's probably a start.
I was going to say
use use the other side of your brain maybe. It's not an easy problem to solve whatsoever. There has to be the dialogue. I feel like most of these people, that are thinking this way have probably strong values. And it's actually going back to those right? And I don't know if a lot of people go to therapy, like those type of people even look to go to therapy. Do they know they have a problem? You have to have people around you that say, listen, you're not acting great, right? Like maybe you should, whatever lane that is, maybe you should try to get to those core values that hopefully are good ones.
Yeah.
And that will kind of ground you a little bit.
I can't remember.
That's like a lot of people that we're talking.
Yeah.
We're talking about a big subset of the population here.
Oh no, very much
Right.
so. I can't remember if it was whenever Kathleen, my therapist, was on the podcast or if it was in session.
That was, I watched that. Yeah. I watched.
Well, I hope you watched it.
No, I did. Well, that's the only one that's out, I believe. Other than
the couple.
Okay.
Anyway,
we can cut that part out. He doesn't even know where he is.
No, but there was at one point she said maybe she sees like 25 people a week, give or take.
Right.
Only 3 of those are guys. So, like 22 out of 25 are girls, and like only 3.
Does she have a
are guys.
specialty, or is it that's just?
Yeah,
Okay.
she specializes in being a badass therapist.
Okay.
No, I did trauma is like
Got it. Okay.
Her thing, but yeah, I do think though that that kind of stigma.
Yeah, I'm
of
shocked.
going to
I'm actually
therapy.
shocked to hear that, because you
Really?
always hear that it was a stigma not long ago, but our parents, our parents, like it was a sign of weakness if you're going to talk to anybody.
Yes, very
Right.
much so.
Or if you shed a tear,
Mhm.
right? So it's like, I would have thought that would have changed a little bit more than 3 a week, but
So what probably I imagine is happening are people know that socially it is an acceptable thing to say like, oh, so and so is in therapy,
right.
and they know like, yep, you don't say anything bad about that. But at the same time, if you were to ask them, like, do you think you would benefit from therapy? No.
Right.
So it's not one thing I've noticed.
It's a little bit of ego probably involved there as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. And it's not open to vulnerability,
Right.
and which is an ego problem.
Right.
I think that whenever I was originally like wanting to go to therapy, it wasn't even to make myself, like, I knew that something was like wrong with like how I felt. Now I wanted to feel better,
Right.
but I didn't want to feel better for myself. It wasn't like, I want to do this for me. It was if I don't do this, I think Kaylin and Camden, may get hurt.
Right.
And so whenever I look back, there was such a sense of like worthlessness in myself to where it was like only acceptable for me to ask for help whenever I knew it was going to affect someone else.
Right.
I think it's really sad, whenever I look back on that and think like that I was mentally in that position.
Right.
But I actually think though a fair amount of people are, they just wouldn't consciously necessarily know it.
Yeah. Or until maybe they hit rock bottom in that feeling.
Yeah.
Right. You were probably not there yet, that you felt like it was for yourself at that point. Yeah.
Did you have you ever felt like you needed therapy?
I've never been. I feel like everybody at one moment or another in their life has anxiety or a panic attack or is overly stressed. I've never felt that those feelings prolonged enough for me to be like, all right, something's wrong.
Yeah.
So I've just never been in that place that I've felt like I'm not against it one way or the other. I probably take the approach that I would talk to, and this is just me being honest, like family, see how far that gets, and then go from there. I have many close family members that are currently in therapy. So I understand the dynamic and how they're feeling, and they've clearly got to the point that they wanted to speak with someone. But me personally, I haven't felt those moments of my mind not feeling right 100% have been very short windows, and probably for God knows what reasons of what it was happening. It wasn't because of, or at least I don't feel like it was because of anything previous. It was probably,
right. It was
what was going on in the moment.
Specific.
Exactly.
What do you do whenever you're feeling anxious? How do you regulate yourself?
Well, I remember the first time I felt anxious, I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, I didn't even know what the hell was going on. I'm like, what the? I'm like, I can't talk to anybody. Like, what is going on? I'm going to the bathroom to like breathe and then look at myself in the mirror. Like literally, like, and this was more like, so it was more social at the time. And again, probably hanging out a little too much. This is going back way many years ago. So who knows what was going on in my head chemically at the time. But I was just like, you know, this is not a good feeling. So I'm fully in dad bod mode right now, but I love to work out, play basketball, go for a run. That is my outlet. And Danny knows, like, if I don't work out for an hour just to sweat, and it goes multiple days in a row, I am crabby. Don't want to be around. And it's, again, I'm not the healthiest person by any means. No, I can eat my pasta and my rice and beans after, which is my balance, but it's something that energy goes. I did for a long time. I meditate and like just sit and breathe. I'd like to do breathing work and stuff like that. Like before I go to sleep, I like to try to get, I'm very routine oriented, probably to a fault. I like to get my 8 hours plus if I can. Man, so it's like, it's like
8 hours of sleep. Jeez. It must be nice.
I try. It's a little obviously tough with the baby, but I try to, I'm a selfish in that sense that I try to take care of myself. And I think that, you know, body, mind being one has a lot to do with it. And I think, you know, that's kind of how, if it did come up, that's kind of where I would transition. Or I got to be healthier. I'm doing something wrong here. Let's see if this works. And it usually has worked for me, at least. 2 parts.
So that first, you know, you say your body, mind connected. I was actually, I think in my episode with Kathleen, my therapist, I told her that I think I felt like my body and mind connected for the first time whenever I was 38. You know, like it was, it was very long for me, but for a very long time, I felt like my brain and my body were in just this existential battle against each other.
Really?
And it was like something, my brain wanted to win at all costs, but my body was like, go fuck yourself. We're going to win it on this one.
Right.
And so there was like, you know, there was like a very big like disconnect for me for a very long time there.
Right.
But I want to kind of brag on you for a second. I do think that, you know, what you're talking about, like with exercising and sweating and stuff up, I think that's an extremely healthy way of, you know, of like, you know, working things out, you know, like, like anxiety or, you know, like something like, I think that's great. And you
is that known to help or not? Like, I guess everybody's different, but I'm curious.
Exactly.
If that's like,
well, I think the key thing for you is that you feel better afterwards.
Right.
So,
it's something whatever that is.
Right. It may not help me. If I'm feeling very anxious, I may go, you know, like play basketball and just feel worse. But, but for you, it works, you know, like, so I think that's the important thing.
Right.
And how I like am going to say that it works is that you're not like afterwards, like, well, I can only eat 3 handfuls of almonds and this protein shake, you know, like, so it seems like you're focused more on the mental aspect of it and like trying to soothe that than you are of like maintaining like the 100%. Body of the Statue of David
100%,
or something.
100%. Yeah, I eat ridiculous amounts of food after. So it's definitely not for the body and the look.
I'm sorry. How long did it take you to kind of develop that awareness to know like, hey, I don't feel very well right now. Let me get out and sweat. Let me, you know, let me like, you know, play basketball.
Well, I have like the funny story of when I moved from New York to the suburbs of Jersey. You know, in New York, it's like a very, you know, I was not a healthy kid by any means. My, and this is probably embarrassing to say what the diet was at that time. It would be like, wake up, go to school, get a bagel with butter, extra butter, melted, toasted, Arizona iced tea or Snapple iced tea. Get a salami sandwich, mayonnaise on a roll for lunch, come out, eat Mickey D's, McDonald's, like order a 20-piece nugget, steal some from my sister, and then for dinner, just eat like steak, rice, and beans. That's like probably 5,000 calories. So I was 170 when I was like 13.
You're probably 170 now.
I'm a little more than 170. I'm like, what? Yeah, but around the same weight, which is crazy. So and again, in New York, where I grew up, you know, the classic, like fat joke, big pun, like being overweight was not like a bad thing. You never felt like, oh, he's the fat kid. Never.
Really?
It's just, I guess it's a new, I don't at least I didn't feel that way
Okay.
at the time, but I think it is like culturally, you know, you have the heavier set kids were never like picked on or bullied. It was just not the case in the schools I grew up in New York. When I moved to Jersey,
was the case in my schools.
Yeah. Well, so in most places, again, suburbs are very different too. So when I moved to the suburbs, I remember getting to school and no one like made fun of me. I was a little older, you know, going in freshman high school, but gym class or PT, we had to run a mile, just like first day of PT, and everybody's timed. Like they have the goals. It's like a very old school gym class. I don't even know if they still do that, but I was like basically last. Like I got this guy who is playing video games, lanky glasses, and he's sprinting by me, and I'm like, I'm going to, like, I'm, you know, that competitive. And when I was last there, I was just like, and I'm looking around, and people are like, oh, we're going to the beach later. I'm like, what the hell am I? And I was like, I need to get in shape. And immediately after that, I was working. I was like trying to lose weight, eat semi-healthy, or just eat a little bit. So that's where it like clicked in for me. But it wasn't like a comparing thing. It was actually probably like I was so unhealthy.
Okay.
And I just was not feeling. I was not feeling good.
Yeah.
I definitely was not feeling good. So maybe it was a little social anxiety too at that moment. Just being in a new school, trying to make friends, and it's like
you said you're in middle school,
freshman in high school. So I'm even older at that point. Yeah, it's like in a new place too. So that's where it really clicked for me, and I started, you know, focusing on trying to be healthier, which made me feel better. Yeah. At the end of the day,
your level of self-awareness at an early age is pretty impressive. I would consider myself very unself-aware for the majority of my life, actually. And you're like, yeah, I was 13. I realized that, like, as you know, like my cardiovascular, like CO2 output's not where I wanted it to be, and I think I'd feel better if I did this. Yeah, but yeah, man, no, so in that situation, what did happen to me, was actually no, I was in college, so you know, I was older than you, but I mean, I probably was 270 at least, and I remember running at like the local park, and a woman whenever I got finished, a woman stopped me. She's like, you know what? It's very courageous that you came out and exercised. And I know that she meant that in a very like positive way.
Came off condescending.
I did not run again.
Really?
Yeah. It was I did not want to be seen in public.
Wow.
And I did a very like unhealthy way of going about.
I feel like you have two.
Yes.
It's two ways of the road at that point. It's a fork in the road, and you have those are the only options in feeling that way.
And so what I did was I was like, I've got to be fit at all costs, but it wasn't about feeling good. It was about looking good.
Yes, yeah.
And that is an extremely unhealthy mindset to have. For me personally, I can't comment on everybody else, but for me, what that meant was that I would be very Spartan in my diet and how I exercised, and it was very regimented, very, you know, like boom, 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 boom. But then, you know, I'd have like one off day. And, you know, I'd end up eating like the 20-piece McNuggets, like stealing some from my sister, you know, I mean, it would just be such a binge. And in hindsight, if I would have just done hey, you know, I feel better right now kind of mindset, it probably would have stuck a lot more, and there wouldn't have been as much of a like seesaw type effect as there have been.
Yeah. Before. I feel like a lot of people have that issue when they want to look a certain way. Yeah. Everybody wants to look good, but the feeling good is the best part. My mind when I'm at the gym is like shutting off my mind. It's literally the best feeling in the world. It's like,
is that the only time your mind can shut off?
Yeah, that's probably not the best way to say it either.
Well, no, but
you know,
like you can kind of get
like a
flow
state.
Exactly. Yeah, I knew what you meant.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the most peaceful time.
Really?
Yeah, 2 hours of basketball is like the most peaceful time. It really is, because you have the camaraderie too. So you're doing a lot of different things at once, but like when you're actually playing it or lift or working out, it really is like a very relaxing hour.
Would you consider yourself an extrovert?
It's funny you say that because I've told people that I'm an introvert.
Okay.
Actually.
Yeah. Well, I'd assumed that you were an introvert.
But most people, I've heard people say I'm more social than I say I am. But
Well, it's not about social.
Okay,
like,
so,
so where is how you get your energy. I get my energy from like being away from people.
Yeah, so I would say I do it.
I need to have my alone time. But
Yeah.
you were saying that the basketball and the camaraderie. That's why I was thinking maybe that you kind of picked up energy.
Yeah, but I think that aspect of it is just like it's important. Like it makes me
Is it
again
more the social aspect? Kind of having like
yeah,
the
so.
bonds, the
Yeah.
sense of community and
Yeah,
stuff.
I think so. I think that sense of community is nice. And people get it in different ways. People go play golf with their friends, or they go, out to brunch once a week, whatever the case may be. But I don't do those other things, right? So that's my way of like chopping it up with the guys for 2 hours. But then I don't have to see them later, which is kind of nice too. So and then also play. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I keep it. But it is nice to have that camaraderie.
How'd you find your crew?
Just our crew currently. It just has grown organically. When I moved to Jersey City, I started playing at the park, shoot around, meet one guy, pick up, and then now we've had like, all right, we're all, we're not good, but we're all around the same age. We all play around the same speed, and now we have like a good three day a week solid crew.
So one of my conversations that you did not hear apparently with LeVar,
Right.
he and I were talking. He had just moved from Atlanta to Minneapolis.
Okay.
He and I were kind of talking about how difficult it was to make friends whenever you move to a new city.
Yep.
And one of the things that we were talking about is like, yeah, it's really hard to like want to go out or to like, kind of put yourself out there.
Right.
But you were saying for basketball and like your crew, that was all you did.
Organic.
Was you went to a park, had a basketball, and was like, hey,
what's up?
You wanna play? Exactly.
Yeah. That's how it started. Yeah.
How?
And it's been years now, so that crew's like some people have moved, some have come in, but it's always been around 10 to 15 guys all the time.
Have you always been like that, or is like just to have the courage?
Yeah, I would throw myself out there.
You would, okay?
Yeah, 100%. Like if I didn't have basketball, I would go do something else. I would go to a kickboxing class, or I would, if you go for a run, or I'm not like what are kind of like other social like clubs and stuff like that. I don't know if I would do that. I would do something that's like interesting to me that I want to be involved in, and then just go out there and see what happens, basically. Yeah, but I would do it in another aspect that's not basketball. Yeah, I would.
Let's say now you didn't have the basketball crew. You got Danny and Sophia. Sophia was like 14 months. Or, I'm sorry, 1 year, 2 months.
Yeah.
How would you, if you were moving from Jersey City to Norfolk, Virginia,
Right.
what would you try to do to kind of like build that sense of community in a new place?
Yeah, I would probably go to try different things that are physical, right? And see, I know like I'm not into CrossFit, but CrossFit gyms have a community. I've done jujitsu; those always have a community. Basketball, you always have a community. So I would try. All right, where are the parks? Where are the local gyms? Go in there. You got to give it time. It's not gonna, and I'm not searching for it either. Like I want it to grow organically. I want to like the people I'm hanging out with too.
It seems like you're focused on quality,
as
opposed to.
And I do my research, where to go, and all of that, and then I go and see. And I think, I will say I'm not one, and my family knows this. I'm not one to go out, especially with Danny and Sophia, or just alone and just start talking to people. Right. I'm the opposite of that. I'd rather not talk to anybody usually in those situations. So I try to find it where there's common ground. And if that's like different type of club, anything that I'm interested in at the end of the day.
You are a fascinating man.
Really? I don't think so, but thank you. An average Joe.
Oh man, aren't we all though?
That's true.
No, I've had an absolute blast talking to you, man.
Oh, same here.
Been a pleasure, bud. Phil, thank you for acting out with me, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.